Okay, I'm here with Jennifer Jones. Jennifer, can you tell me a bit about yourself?
I am a visiting lecturer at Birmingham City University. I teach in the media school and I teach alternative media and web production, which is the second year module that is around the sort of practices of alternative media and community media practice.
And how do you help your students to be employable, Jennifer?
We challenge a lot of the sort of traditional structures of what the university sort of pedagogy of teaching. So we don't use lectures and workshops. We actually use a working newsroom, and we get our students working in the newsroom from day one. So we teach around the themes that are in the news at present. So like this year we've looked at the Olympics and higher education because of the changes in structures and system, and we're getting students to work on investigations which are related to those subject areas. In turn, what allows us to plug them into real working projects which are on the go, which is part of my research interests with the Olympics and for education stuff, and they start to actually, I guess, occupy their own learning. So they start to be able to meet with some of the connections I've made through work, and they get to interview them, they go to events, they work for me as journalists, they work for me as media producers. So we kind of like deliberately took them out of the classroom but turned the classroom into a workspace.
And how do you link theory and practice within the modules that you teach, Jennifer?
Because I'm a researcher predominantly, I do a lot of stuff around new media production and events and Olympics, so I make sure that everything that they do practically is theoretically constructed around these sort of areas. So for instance, the alternative media part isn't about going to university to create alternative media, it's about learning what the practice of what alternative means in that context. So we work with the online journalism students who want to be, say, work for The Guardian, but then the alternative media producers will work on the edges of that. So they're getting to kind of understand the theory by actually going out and doing it, and I think it's really important that we work on events and contexts which are happening now and construct something that's new rather than just consuming that sort of education.
Okay, and how do you innovate in your teaching to keep the course up to date?
Well, I'm just constantly on social media. I use that all the time. My students follow me on Twitter, I follow them. We spend a lot, rather than having a static list of links and stuff that's a reading list, we tend to update that through sort of social media channels, the class blog. We expect them, and they're marked on their participation within networks, so how they get their work out there, so they're not just existing in a vacuum. So by existing in a vacuum with an assignment, they can see the wider sort of picture. So the wider pictures allows us to actually feed in things which are relevant as they do it, rather than say, we'll read this and worry about it later on.
Okay, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.